Hey guys, what's up? It's Dark Magician Gaming here, and I'm here giving you guys another video over, honestly, probably my favorite release in the last few sets. It's definitely been my favorite mon. It's the one I've mained the most outside of the current Iron Valiant and Iron Crown Pokemon. But yeah, Flygon was definitely, when it first came out, I thought it was going to be garbage like most Dragon type Pokemon are. You know, them being 2 energy costs, 2 different types of energy. It makes it really hard, to get them going. I mean, and I've tried to make them work in the past, like Como. I thought that would have been a really cool one. You know, it's fighting an electric type, I think, or fighting. Excuse me. It requires fighting and electric energy for the attack to work, right? And it dealt a decent amount of damage, but it's a stage 2 Pokemon. It requires 2 energy. One of them you can ramp, one you can't. It's really hard. And for a while, I thought Flygon was going to be in that kind of category where you just won't be able to ramp it. Like my initial my initial deck that I used to run for Flygon was running Leafeon with Dawn and only running Fighting Energy, right, for my Energy Zone. And although that did work, it left me just really, really open to just getting destroyed by Blaziken, or just getting one shot, like my Leafeon getting one shot before my Flygon can do anything. So for a while there, I really love the ability of Flygon, where it's just dropping damage all across your opponent's board. It's a really, really powerful move. But it being a 3 energy cost, 2 different types of energy required, that being leaf and fighting, or grass and fighting, made it really, really difficult to get going. And it just required so many parts, like having to get Leafeon set up, having to make sure you draw into your Dawn, having to make sure that you have your rare candy and then your Flygon, so many moving parts. But then I saw this variation, which involves Sylveon, and let's just be honest, this deck is so fast, and you will see this in some of my matches, to where it's crazy. Even though it's a 2 energy or 2 different type of energy deck, I'm outspeeding a lot of really quick decks. I am moving through my deck. I think you'll see a gameplay for it, and we'll go through it, but where I basically empty out my deck by turn 6 or 7, or was it turn 8? Something like that. I'm still in single digit turns, and I'm basically emptying my deck, which is nice because when I do swing with Flygon, because when you swing with it, you do 140, but you're also discarding a card from the top of your deck. Since my deck's empty, don't have to worry about discarding a card, right? I'm basically just attacking for free, and it's beautiful, But anyway, let's get into the deck. So there have been, I've seen this engine run before with slight variations. Shout out to Spraggles. Spraggles runs, I believe he runs a Lily in it instead of double Cyrus. I prefer the double Cyrus just because, number one, I can use a Cyrus to stall if I need to gain energy. I can pull something from the bench. Or I can use my Cyrus to finish out games. And you'll see too, I will have both of my Cyruses in my hand by turn 5. It's crazy how fast this deck works. So anyway, so the deck I run is 2 Eevee, 2 Sylveon, 2 Trapinch, 2 Flygon EX, 1 X Speed, 2 Pokeball, rare candies, both of them, Rocky Helmet, 2 Professor Research, 2 Cyrus, 2 Copycat. And I mean, we'll just go through what you want, your ideal start. Your ideal start is you want to lead Eevee, and you want to lead Eevee. I mean, you could start turn 1 where you get heads on the coin flip, which would be nice because if let's play a hypothetical. If you end up getting heads on your coin flip and you start first, you get Eevee, and if you're lucky enough to also have Sylveon in your hand, or have draw support like a Professor's Research or Copycat in your hand, and then pull Sylveon, you're milling your deck. Professor Research, that's 2. You put a Sylveon down, that's another 2, right? So you're drawing 4 cards in 1 turn. Outstanding, right? And that will allow you to set up your Trapinch and your other Sylveon, right? So again, ideally, you start Eevee, You evolve straight into Sylveon and you immediately start milling your deck. You'll probably get a Professor's Research, a Copycat, or maybe one or two of your Pokeballs. You use those. You get your Trapinches set up on the bench. You get your second EV set up on the bench just in case they want to use Sabrina to try and, mess up your play. You put the other EV in, right? And then you basically end your turn. Like, you just run through your deck, like 5 or 6 cards in one turn. They get through their setup, right? They try to set up their deck. It's going to be really hard for them to compete unless they just have the God hand for them. But then you start turn, which will be turn 3, your second turn, but turn 3 overall. And you can immediately Evo straight into Flygon, right? If you got lucky enough with your draws that you get a Rare Candy and Flygon EX, you Rare Candy straight into Flygon EX. And then you can use the X speed to back out of the Sylveon that's in the active and put Flygon up in the on the active spot, right? And then even while you're building energy, you're doing passive amounts of damage. Every single checkpoint, you are doing 10. So by the end of your turn and your opponent's turn, one full cycle, you've already done 20 damage to everything on their board, which is amazing, right? Which then leaves them open for Cyrus plays, because 2 outcomes. Number 1, they try to load their bench and try to at least build one of their main monsters, right? Or main Pokemon, excuse me. They're going to try and build one of them and sacrifice the other, right? Which is why the double Cyrus comes in handy. So they're going to try and flood their bench and try and get set up as quickly as possible so they can try and swing into my Flygon to get rid of it ASAP, right? It immediately puts them on their back foot. Like, they have to start rushing now if they want to be able to win the game. So that's scenario number 1. Scenario number 2 is they restrict themselves and don't put anything on the bench, right? Because they're scared of the Cyrus play. They're scared of their Mon on the backfield or in the bench getting annihilated by my Flygon's ability. So they're going to withhold putting Pokemon on the bench, which again behooves me because it keeps them from setting up, right? So by doing that, I can then mess up their momentum of the game. And that's the whole point with Flygon, is you are screwing with their momentum the entire game, doing damage to them, and then trying to get them to either force their main Mon out so you can Cyrus it to the active and finish it with Flygon's main ability, or main attack, which is a hefty attack. Like 140 KOs almost every single meta EX. Like Miraidon's going out, Koraidon's going out, and even though it's 140, like Koraidon has 150 HP, but it's 140 plus another 10 damage at the end of the checkpoint. So you're doing 150. And even if they move it to the bench, right, you're gonna, at the end of their turn, it's gonna be doing 160. And then again, ideally, if you're able to save your Rocky Helmet, which is in this deck, you end up putting that on your active Flygon. So if they try to swing into it to kill it, they're doing another 20 damage to themselves, right? So overall, I mean, if you play this right, you can do 180 damage by the end of a full cycle, your turn and your opponent's turn. And I mean, that's basically killing almost every single Mon in the game, with the exclusion of like stage 2 megas. Like Venusaur's not going to go out. Charizard's not going to go out. What is another one? I believe Altaria will survive a full cycle with the Rocky Helmet on your Flygon with like 10 HP because it has 190. But again, that's very few Mon that are going to be able to survive that. And that's also, not including the fact that they're probably not going to be at full HP by the time they get that Mon in the active to begin with, because they have to build on the bench. And if my Flygon is already there, it's going to be just doing passive damage every single checkpoint, And it's also going to force them to play their heals a little bit more, how would I put it? They're going to be more irrational with using their heals because they're so scared of having their active getting destroyed and losing that, and then their bench that they're trying to build come up to the active, right? So they're going to use their Lucky Ice Pops immediately to try and sustain as much as possible. And it's a good thing because you want that Lucky Ice Pop gone. Like, that card is super annoying to deal with, especially if they just end up going off and get like 7 or 8 heads in a row and they basically full heal their Mon. It's just the most annoying thing in the world. So you want them to get rid of that, especially if they're, wanting or preferably trying to save it for their main Mon. Like, you want them to burn it beforehand. But yeah, I mean, overall, like, this is just it's just a fun deck to play. It's fast. I mean, like the rest of my decks, you guys know about. I don't run super meta heavy decks or super game changing decks. Like, I mean, when Flygon first came out, last format, it did pretty well in tournaments. Like, I think it got a couple top eights, a couple top, like definitely a few top 32s, and I don't know if it got a top 4 or if it won a tournament, but it definitely did really well. And it's just because, like, number one, Flygon it's a pretty beefy mon for being a non-EX. I mean, non-EX, a non-mega. It has 180 HP. It's doing continuous passive damage. I mean, its only real draw side is the fact that it's a stage 2 or that it's requires 2 energy. But I mean, to be honest, even if, like, let's say I'm struggling to get energy, I'm only pulling grass, I can leave one Flygon in the active and just build my bench Flygon. My active one I can sacrifice, especially if they haven't taken any prize points, right? It's early in the game, and I'm doing passive damage after, and it's a beefy Pokemon, so it's gonna take them a while for it to get to for them to get rid of it. And then I can just build my Flygon in the back bench and just wait for that dual energy that I need to then swing. And by that time, the active Flygon has completely destroyed all of their mon in the active and in the bench, and then I just swing in and clean up the game with my other Flygon. Like, that's the beauty of this. But yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing really much more that can be said about this other than when it works, it works. Like, and I mean, it's also really kind of hard to brick with this. I have bricked once or twice running this deck, but it's like, with the amount of draw support that you have with Eevee, with Pokeball, with Professor's Research, and Eevee Sylveon, it's really hard to brick. Like, you're gonna get something. You are gonna get something. I mean, I think the only way, like, you can brick is if you literally just start with Trapinch, Flygon, Rare Candy, and like it takes you 2 or 3 turns to get your Eevee and Sylveon and your Professor's Research or Copycat set up. But again, the good thing is, since there's only 4 basic Pokemon in this deck, you have a 50% chance of pulling an Eevee to start. So it's just really nice, It's really hard to brick with this deck. The only real form of bricking that there is for this deck is the dual energy, and I have been screwed over with that before, to where I'm just waiting on a grass or a fighting energy. Like, I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and nothing happens, and they're able to set up their Pokemon. Like, I mean, I'm doing 10 damage every checkpoint, but if they get Blaziken up, it's kind of a wrap if I don't have my dual energy, If they get Mega Sceptile up, if they get, I mean, honestly, I think the mon that gives me the most trouble if they're able to get it set up is Absol. And that's really because it gets rid of all of my supporters in my hand. And if I needed my Cyrus, if I needed another, Professor's Research, if I needed any kind of draw support or something, Absol is knocking it out. The only kind of flip side is if I can get ahead of Absol, it's only going to take me a turn and a half to get rid of it, because if I swing into it first, like, especially, like, preferably if I swing into it first, I'm doing 140. After my checkpoint, doing 150. No matter where they move it, it's going to go to the back. It's going to stay in the active. I'm doing another 10. That's 160. So then it's only going to have 10 HP. And then if I still have my Cyrus, I can Cyrus it back to the active and finish it off and win the game, right? I think the only real matchup besides, like, Absol itself that this deck really struggles with has been Blaziken in Cast Form. And that's just because Cast Form is just a really, really, really good lead off mon. Like, it's, if you can get that Cast Forms, like, if they start turn 2, they flip tails and they get Cast Form and they get a Hiking Trail, or what's the other one, Mezagoza that they run in their deck, if they get one of those 2 stadiums and all you have is Eevee, like, you kind of bricked a little bit, you just auto lost. Like, it's, and then besides that, I mean, it's hitting for 50 with the stadium up because of burn damage. And if you don't flip heads, either you're going to have to burn an energy or an X speed to get that Sylveon or whatever is in the front to the back bench to get rid of the burn, or you're just going to have to let it take another 20. In which case, it's done 70 damage before it swings again. and that just really destroys like Sylveon. Sylveon's gone in 2 turns with that. Flygon is getting tore up if I don't have my energy set up on it. Like it's just overall, and then that's not even considering the fact that while Castform is literally kicking my ass, Blaziken's getting set up in the bench, and then they're just gonna swap Flame Patch or whatever they need to do. Boop, swinging for 140 with burn damage. Like it's just a real pain in the butt to deal with. But no, other than that, like you'll see, I kind of took it to a bunch of decks. And honestly, I kind of farm any kind of Miraidon deck. Like, I get that Miraidon is very, very, very meta relevant, and I can see why it's very, very meta relevant, but I don't know, man. Flygon just farms it. Like, Flygon is steady doing 140 damage. Like, it's steady doing 140, 150, 160 after, you know, a full cycle of turns between you and your opponent. And even if Miraidon has a cape at 160, it's gone. The only way it survives longer than a full cycle of turns between you and your opponent is if they have a cape and starting planes on that thing. Or if they somehow get lucky with Ice Pop, right? But, I mean, with Miraidon gone, because most Miraidon decks only run Miraidon and one Magnezone, if you can kill the Miraidon like early game, especially when they first bring it out and you survive because they try to rush to get the Miraidon out and they don't have enough energy to one-shot you, that Miraidon's gone. All the energy that was on the Magnetons is gone with it, and now they have to slowly build back their energy before they can move into Magnezone. And by that time, I've already done passive damage. I've Cyrus that Magnezone or whatever it is to the active, and I've one-shotted that too. So Miraidon kind of gets farmed by Flygon. Let me see. Lucario, I haven't really run into much Lucario. But sleep decks. I don't think I have a gameplay on this video for me facing a sleep deck, but I kind of farm sleep decks too. Like, because they're gonna want to play both Darkrai, they're gonna want to play their Espeon. Yeah, it is Espeon. Their Espeon. They're gonna want to play their Igglybuffs. Or their Swablues. They're going to load their bench and their active. Like, it's going to be all 4 Mon out on their field. And Flygon, if you can get it out and ready really quick before they can really set up their Altaria, dude, you're killing Igglybuff in a rotation and a half. If they have both Igglybuffs down, you're killing both. That's a free 2 price points. And then all you have to do is get lucky enough to not get KO'd by Altaria, or have your other Flygon ready on the bench while one of the active is just absorbing sleep damage from Darkrai and doing passive damage. You put a Rocky Helmet on that thing, and every time Igglybuff swings into it, is doing 20 to itself. Like, you're killing an Igglybuff in 1 turn, on their turn that they attack into you. And then you build that second Flygon on the bench, and then you just start going to town, killing everything else. Like, with double Cyrus, you can Cyrus out both of their Darkrai's, and boop, you're done. Instant win. You know, all you have to do is survive 1 attack from Altaria, or survive 2 attacks from Espeon. You know, other than that, I think the only critique I can make for this deck is probably a PCL. You could move out the Rocky Helmet and put in PCL for those sleep decks, especially if you want to play this in ranked. Do I suggest you play this in ranked? Maybe if you're in the lower Ultra Balls and in Great Ball. But once you get to like Ultra Ball 3 and 4 and into Master Ball, unless you just have the time to kill to just play this deck over and over until you get into Master Ball, I don't really think you want to do that. You know, it's the dual energy kind of hinders this deck a lot. Like, if Flygon was a single energy type that was rampable, it would be the most disgusting Pokemon in the game. Hands down. It would be meta over everything else. Like, it would utterly destroy. Like, if this was just if it was just Leaf Energy, Leafeon all day. You know, Leafeon Rare Candy. Don't even need any of the Dawn support. Don't need anything else. Don't need Sylveon and Eevee. I'm just literally going to town. Or if you really want to be mean, you could run Flygon, Leaf Energy, Igglybuff, Darkrai. Like, if you want to be disgusting with it, if it was only 1 energy type. Like, this Pokemon had, like, they had to make it 2 energy type. with its ability, because if not, it would literally be the most powerful mon in the game, at least in my opinion. Way past Blaziken, way past Altaria, way past Lucario, all of that. Like, it's just because it's the dragon type, it has no weakness. Come on, it'd be broken. They would have to give it like they would have to just give its like fighting energy to not make it broken. Like, can you imagine if this thing was like fire energy with flame patch, Charmeleon, cast form? Like this, it would be utterly disgusting. So they had to nerf my boy. They had to make him 2 energy type, and because of that, he's a niche play. Like, he's not gonna see super ultra crazy meta relevance. He's just gonna see, bottom of B tier, top of C tier kind of play. But yeah, no, like, and you'll see that in the gameplay too. I'm able to just take it to a lot of players, and I mean, I'm sure it's frustrating encountering a Flygon deck. Probably not as frustrating as encountering a sleep deck, like an Espeon Darkrai sleep deck, but it's definitely pretty annoying to run into it. But yeah, no, with that being said, definitely go give Flygon a try if you haven't already. Yeah, I mean, it's just fun overall. You guys should definitely give it a shot. Again, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns about anything I do with, trying out decks, if I should try this, try that, just throw them in the comments. Let me know what you think. Also, just a heads up, I will probably upload a video soon for the new Ceruledge that just came out. And spoiler, not a spoiler, it's not great. But anyway, yeah, so just leave a comment if you have any suggestions, comments, or concerns about this deck, any ways I can make it better, or any other like new fun ways to run Flygon. Please give me a like, share, subscribe if you are feeling a little generous. But yeah, guys, enjoy the rest of the gameplay, and you guys have a good one. Peace.